In the last class, we had seen a little bit about string processing. Okay, let me just quickly revise what we had seen in the last class, and then we'll get into the program part for today. In the last class, we had spoken a little bit more about strings and how they are efficient in working and how they work in C# especially is what we had seen. So let me just quickly go through what and all we had seen in the previous programs or previous class, and then I'll continue. So we saw what is a string, how to create and use a string, how to manipulate a string, and some string operations we saw. So let me just quickly go through them. You know what is a string. In C#, string is considered as an array of characters, just like how I told yesterday. And you have every character is a Unicode symbol, which just means that any language is supported as long as it is stored in this particular fashion. Okay. And the data type in string is also a class. Basically, it's called system.string. But idea is still the same, a little bit similar to Java, that they are an array of characters, but you need not explicitly declare them as an array of characters. That's what we saw. And the system.string class, since it is a class and in .NET framework, they are just represented by an object of that particular class. String is always represented as an object of system.string class. And they are immutable. I think I've gone a little bit in depth about how it is immutable, and they use Unicode to support multiple languages and different alphabets. They are of reference type. They are not value type like an int or a float or a boolean, but they are reference type, which means they are stored on the heap. And also when you copy them, the actual value is not copied, rather it is just copying the reference to that particular string object, as we discussed. I think I've given a program to explain how immutable works. I think yesterday you understood this program, but then I'm repeating again, they cannot be changed once they have been created. So when I modify some data on it, all we are doing is we are creating a new string object, and we are changing the reference to that new string object. The old one will be collected by the garbage collector soon. All right, so this is what we saw in the last class, and this string class was a little bit ambiguous because we had three different things to represent the same idea. So they are like an array of characters. They have fixed length, and they can be accessed directly by the index, which is not possible in Java. Here it is possible, and the index is in the range of 0 to length -1. And I think same thing we had saw yesterday about this. So let me just quickly skip that. All right, just see that every word is kept in an index, like a character array. You need not explicitly convert them into a character array. So why do I use a character array? It is to do manipulation and do more character based operations. This is a string and it will act like a string operation, but still it will be considered as a character array. Okay, there are two ways to declare the actually three ways, but we will not follow all these. We'll only follow one or two. Okay, all these three are possible or are right or equivalent declarations of creating a string in C#. Okay, but as I told, I prefer using the small letter when you are using it like a data type. I prefer the capital letter when you are using it like a class. The middle one is not used, but this is also equivalent to all these three things. Okay, so to create a string, I think I've given examples with how when you create if you create a string S, that S is basically pointing to null because all reference types are referencing null as an initial value. And when you assign something, now an object is created and a location in the memory is created, and then it is assigned to a variable name called as S. Okay, and assigning from another variable, basically we are copying the reference to that particular new string S2. And you can do some operation and then store that value inside a string. That's what we saw. So let me just quickly finish the reading and printing. I think you know console.readline and console.writeline. These are used to print and read string from the console. And comparing strings, there are a number of ways. There are a case insensitive and case sensitive way. Okay, this is the syntax. What you see in the first line is the syntax. Compare string1, string2, true. Okay, this is if you want to do an case insensitive comparison, but if you want a case sensitive comparison, you just change it to false. That's all. This is an inbuilt method used by string class. And when you compare strings using the equal to operator, it is not normally recommended in Java, but here it is fine because it will just one thing difference is that it is a case sensitive compare. But if you want case insensitive, then you'll have to go back to this method, case insensitive, or you'll have to convert it back to lower all. Okay, so that is how it works here. It is case sensitive compare. Also, you can use like how Java has equals. So you can just say string1 dot equals. That's also fine. But you'll have to pass a string 2 as a parameter to this particular method. That is comparing strings. Concatenating strings, when you compare or when you want to combine more than one string into one, you can use the concat method. Okay, something like this, string dot concats. Here I'm using a capital letter S because I want to represent it as a class, string dot concat, and then two strings are passed to it. Those two strings will be concatenated and then stored in str, and it goes on like this. Or you can just use plus or plus equal to operator, just like how we saw yesterday. And anything can be appended to a string. It can be a mixture of data types, not just string alone. And how to search in a string: you get the first occurrence, index of, and index of from a particular location, and also last index of. I've given explained this with an example, C# programming course, and then in that one, index of C# is 0, index of course is 15 onwards, index of capital letter course, which is case sensitive, there is no such thing as course, so it's -1. And it is case sensitive. Please note that the words and last two lines, if you see that it is starting with an index, and then after which index should I start looking for. Okay, so that's what we saw. And I've just kept this. I'll pass on the material to you. Extracting substring to remove some part of the string and then store it in another string. It's also possible. You need to pass a start index and the length. That's the syntax I wanted to remember. Substring. So let's go inside the code and just have a glance here. Okay, the file name there is c:/pics/fall2020.jpg. Now, if you see that if I want the full file name, I just need to start with you need to just start with the substring and say index. Start index is 8. So from here, take everything. So from F till G, fall2020.jpg, full thing will be returned. But if you say 8, which means start from 8 and then take 8 characters. So which means fall 2020, 4 plus 4, 8 characters are there. Only that particular name will come. This is extracting substring. Splitting, we use the keyword called, or the function called split, in which you need to pass based on which character would you like to split the string. Okay, so it can be a comma, it can be a dot, it can be a space, it can be whatever it is, but you'll have to pass one character, minimum one character, maximum any number of characters you can pass, because it expects a character array, which means not one, you can have one or more, that's all. And replacing and deleting, I think we have seen this also. You can replace some things which is there in the string with something else. So you can see I've replaced all plus in the string with the word called and that's the output. If you want to delete some part of the string, that also is possible by just saying remove, and you have to pass from which index, how much do you want to delete. So here 2, 3 means 0, 1 and 2. From this index, 3 digits. So 1, 2, 3 will be deleted and 4, 5, 6, 7 remains. This is what we saw. And last one is the character casing. 2 lower and 2 upper. I think that I need not explain much because it's self-explanatory, and I've given an example so that you can understand. And trimming white space. Trimming is very essential when it comes to taking data from the user, because user normally has, if he types from a mobile, okay, if he types from, I think this most of you would have come across in, let's say, if I've got this problem with when you people type that register number into the Google form. Okay, when I give a Google form, some of you use your phone to fill it out, or some of you use your laptop. Okay, but then when you fill it out, please remember that your if you type it in your mobile, and if the suggestion automatically comes, and if you tap on that suggestion, it will automatically put that data and give a space. Okay, when I take it and compare with the code which I write, what happens is that that space is counted. For example, you put 181818 space. The space was induced by your mobile because you took it as autocomplete, and the space was given automatically. And even this case of email addresses, when you go to a website and you try to log in, when you type your email address and your mobile gives you suggestions saying that is this what you're trying to type, and you press on tab, what happens is mobile automatically puts that word and gives a space after that. All right, that space is counted when you take the entire data from HTML or any website for that sake, or any app for that sake. So what happens is if you don't trim, that space is considered as a character. So what happens, your for example, your email address is some name at gmail.com space. Okay, that is not a valid username. some name at gmail.com is a valid username, not that space. So it will say that username is wrong or password is wrong because you gave extra one space. So this method would be helpful to trim whatever values are before or after the word, so that it's easy for us to get only the one which you have typed, not unnecessary spaces involved. Okay, so that is one trimming, and you can even trim it in the beginning or at the end. That's what we saw. And the second one, what I've mentioned here, is trimming based on a particular character. If you have unnecessary like mixture of stuff in the Word document, you are sorry, in the string, you can remove them or clear them out by just saying s dot trim and characters list. So you can just pass a list of characters, and then it will be trimmed based on that particular characters. And trim start and trim end we have seen in the last class. So the last one for this particular slide was to tell you that almost everything, virtually everything, every class in your .NET framework has a method called toString, which means you can convert anything to a string so that you can see the output, but not everything will have meaning. Okay, this will be clear for people who have used Python's object-oriented programming, and you try to print an object directly. When you print an object directly without giving the str constructor, you would not find anything. You'll just say the word object. But if you want to print some details of the object, you will call that str underscore underscore str underscore underscore. All right, that is something you have to give. But here in .NET, almost everything will have a virtual method to give you an idea of what that class or the object is having. So almost everything will have dot to string. Okay, remember that. It will be something which is human readable string or representing that particular object. Most of them have their own implementation. So when you print, you will get a different value, not like any other language. C# will have a little bit more clearer idea of what that object is about. Okay, these things, int, float, bool, datetime, they have their own inbuilt implementation of dot to string. Okay, so we'll see that when we start working, but remember that word. Okay, and let's start with some programs. So I was just going through your practice programs, and I thought I'll pick one or two programs from that to understand how string operations work. So I just found two simple programs which were there in that program list, which are basically dependent on your string operations. So I took this program first. Let's do this program now. Write a program which takes an input string, appends a digit after every character with the total count of that character. Case is ignored in the string. Okay, example, I think you have this, you have already worked it out. Let me just try it in C# and we'll see how it goes. Okay, this is the input. If the input is this, output should be every word after every character which is there in that string. You would like to have the total count of that character in that string. For example, the word which is given there. There are three words in that entire string: B, A, and N. Okay, B occurs one time, A occurs three times, and N occurs two times. So if you see the output, B one time, A three, N two, A three, N two, and it goes on. It is a repetitive task. Okay, so we are just printing it out. Now I'm going to use a string function to perform this. This will be my first program which we are doing. Okay, I think let me finish this and then come to the second program. Let's try to do this program now. Okay, so let me just come out of the PPT and go to the Visual Studio part. Okay, I've opened Visual Studio now. Let's start with creating a new project. Let me create a simple project in C#. Since last time we chose console app, it's already there. So let me just click on next. It's in C#. Please do note, because sometimes if you're starting the project for the first time, it might not be pointing to C# in the beginning. It will be pointing to almost everything. So please choose something which is required, and please look at what you're choosing before you go to the next one. Okay, and let me just give string demo as the project name, and let me create a project. Okay, just like Java, please note that you cannot have more than one main method in the same project. Okay, if you have more than one main method, you will have to indicate to the compiler which method are you executing. If you don't do that, it becomes an error. Please remember, you cannot have two main methods in the same project, because there can be only one entry point to the project. If you want to specify which is the entry point, you can obviously go and tell which is the starting project or the entry point to your program, but generally not accepted. Only one main method is allowed. Okay. I hope the program is visible. So let me just begin. Uh, let's look at our requirement. Okay, so let's study our requirement before we start the code. Our requirement is to find out how many times a particular character, what the user is entering. The user might be entering a word. I'll have to take that word and then find out in each word how many times that word is occurring in that full each character, and find out how many times that character is occurring in that particular word. This is my requirement. I don't want to write that in the same program. Let me write a separate, like how we write functions.php. If you remember, if you have done in PHP, you would write something separately so that you can call that again and again. So I am going to create another class. I'm going to leave the main method class as it is. Let me go to Solution Explorer. Let me create another CS file, a class file. Okay, please note, in that class file, I'll not give main method. I just want a simple class in which I write, for example, in Android, we did that. We wrote DB adapter. Okay, in that one, all logic only we wrote. We didn't write anything else there, and we called that file whenever we require. We can do the same thing so that the program looks a little bit more simpler. If it is an actual interview, you can write another method inside the program itself. Okay, that's what I did in the last class. So today I want to do a little bit differently. So let's just create another class file. So let me right click and add a new item. Okay, a new item to this particular project. And in that new item, I'm going to choose a class. Please note Visual C# class, and let me give a name. So in this case, I'm going to give the name as operation. I'll just say operations.cs. Okay, all operations, I'll write it there. I'll call that here in my program. So I'll just call operations.cs and let me add it. So when I add a new class, a simple class has been created. I hope the code is visible. Okay, so here we have namespace is string underscore demo. Please note there is an underscore put, but when I created the project, I said string space demo. Space is not allowed in a name, so it automatically includes underscore for you. So your namespace is string underscore demo. Inside that project of string demo, you have program.cs, which the system created automatically, and then I created an operations.cs. So now inside this, I'm going to write a simple method. Okay, what is that method? I'm going to divide my work. The program, what is given to me is to find out how many times a particular character is occurring in a particular word which is given by the user. Now, in this case, instead of writing separate code, I'm going to write one. The logic of this is to find out how many times a character occurs in a word. I'll write only that logic in a simple method. Let's start. I'm going to create a public. Return type will be count, right? How many times that character occurs. So I'll just put int, and I'll just say count words. Okay, I hope till this it's clear. I'm just going to say count words, or let's say word, not only one word I'm going to pass. So you're going to pass two things. Number one, which character. Number two, what is the string. So I'll just say given. Okay, so I hope the method signature is clear. All I'm doing is I'm going to take two things from the user. You give me what is the character and what is the given string. Now, the error is a little bit different. I'll come and fix it, and then I'm going to talk about the case also in a minute. But just look at the signature of this method. It is going to give you a number if you pass a character and a string. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find out how many times this character occurs in this particular string, and I'm going to return that as the number. Okay, so remember this. In order to finish this error, fix this error, what I need to do is I need to return an integer. That integer will be a count. So I'm going to initialize count. Okay, let me say count is equal to 0 in the beginning, and then I'll say return count. Okay, the reason why I'm doing this is I don't want any errors when I'm working with the code. Always fix the errors and then continue the program. So you know that even if I don't write anything here, by default it returns 0. I hope this is clear. All right, so I've written this. Now you see there is a small dot here. It is just telling the naming rule violation. I hope you can see the error what I'm getting there. Okay, it's just saying that naming rule violation. These words must begin with an uppercase character. Okay, so this is I wrote in the format how normally I write Java methods. But here it's saying it's not an error, but it is just saying the rule which they have of naming has been violated because you have used camel case. Okay, here it is not recommended. You can just put this. This is fine in C#. Okay, and now once I fix that, there is no much naming violation. This is fine. I hope you can follow. Okay, right now that dot 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 is gone off because now it's fine. According to C sharp, this is the correct word. But according to Java, this is not right because you cannot start with the first letter capital in a method name because they require camel case. But here it is a different type of camel case because every word which you have, first letter can be capital. Alright, if you start a method with a small letter, it might throw a warning, but it is not an error. So I've just fixed that part. Okay, let me continue. Now, what am I supposed to do? Okay, so you just need to know what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to count how many times this particular character occurs in this particular string. So all I need to do is go through each and every character in this string, and if I find this character in this string, I just need to increment the count. It's a very pretty simple way of writing code. But then in Java, I would have to write a have to convert this to a character array, take the string and then convert it into a character array, and then find out whether the char at this particular I is equal to, you would have written like that. But in C sharp, it's much more simpler. You have a simple for each. So I can just say for each character, okay, you remember the syntax, I hope. I'm going to just say item in collection. Collection is given. Why can I pass a string as a collection? Because string is by default a character array. That's what we've been discussing. All right. So as you know, string is nothing but a character array in C sharp. I can consider that string itself as a collection of data. So this is the syntax for each character in this given string, and the character is represented by the word called item. You can even change it to anything else you want. Okay, so all I am going to do here is, by the way, here I need not know what is the length of the string. Okay, I need not bother about it because for each will anyway loop through till the end of the string. So for each character in my string, all I need to do is if, okay, it's a simple if condition. If the item which you are finding, okay, the item which I am just iterating through is equal to ch, the character which you have passed, okay, and then I'm going to increase the count, or I can just say count plus equal to 1. Okay, instead of writing plus plus, I'm writing count plus equal to 1 because this is some syntax which Python developers are much familiar with. So I've just used this. Either way, it doesn't make a difference. All I'm saying is increment the count by 1 if the item which you are looping through is equal to the character which you have passed. That's all. This method is the logic of my program, to count how many words or how many times this particular character is occurring in this particular string. That's all. I hope this code is clear. Now let me go back to my main method. Okay, I'll come back to this shortly, but just remember, let me come back to the main method. Instead of hello world, I'm going to say enter a string. Okay, and what if I would like the users, for example, right now I say enter a string and I put colon here, but when I print or when I run the program now, you'll see that the cursor is in the next line. Rather than next to that colon, the cursor will be in the next line because you wrote right line. Okay, please understand that. So let me just change it and make it as right, so that the cursor blinks the same line as the colon. Okay, just let me keep it as right line so that you see the difference when I run it next time. And I'm going to take the string from the user. Okay, so I'm going to say given string, or let's say string given is equal to console dot read line. Now please note, readline is a method which returns string as a return type. I need not convert anything if I'm looking for a string. My work here is done. I've just taken the input from the user. Very simple. Now all I need to do is to take or to pass this to that or call that method which I've created. So let me just create an object of that class, which is operations. So let me just say op is equal to new operations. Let me create a method and an object and keep. I'm going to call that method using that particular object. Now, how should I call the method? Okay, I am going to loop through each and every word in that particular string what you have given, and I'm going to pass every character in that to that method, to the method which we have created. And every time I pass, for example, B, I'm passing B to that method. The method will take B and banana as the input, and return will be B is 1. And it's going to continue again and again till you get your output. So all I'm going to do here is for each character item in the given string. Okay, let's just print out what is there. Okay, so before I call that method, let me just print out console.write. Instead of why I'm saying this is I wanted to know the difference between write and write line here. I'm going to say console.writeLine item, just to understand what I've done in the previous part. Okay, please note I've not called that operation yet. I just wanted to see the code. For each character in the given string, print that character. Okay, let me run the program. So let's see what is the output, what we are getting, and then we'll fix the program. Here. Right now it's saying enter a string. I hope you can see the place where the cursor is blinking, asking for my input. Okay, normally I wanted the cursor here, but the cursor automatically came here because I gave right line. Okay, since I've given right line, it's printed that and then brought the cursor to the next line, in which I'm seeing my cursor blinking. So let me just type the word as the input and let's see what is the output. The output is each and every character in that particular string is now printed. Okay, you can see the code what I've written for that particular purpose. For each and every character which is there in the given string, I'm printing it in each line. Okay, but if you see your requirement, this is not the requirement. Requirement is to print everything in one line, but right next to each other. So how do I get that? Remove the word right line and just make it as right. And here also, let me just make it as right. Now, please note, even though I wrote right line right here, the cursor will be blinking here. And then once you give the input, automatically it will call read line, which means anyway, I'm going to the next line. So let me see the output of this program. I've just changed a few words here and there, right and right line. Okay, so right now if you see the cursor is blinking in the same line as the word which I'm asking. So this looks a little bit better. Let me just type. Now you see for each character, print every character which is there and print it right next to it. So this is what I've got now, but the output what I'm expecting is to do something different, to count number of words. Okay, so for that I also have a method. Now I'm going to do something wrong so that you see the difference. Okay, I'm going to concatenate just like how I told in the string operations. I'm going to say after every item, I want you to call that operation object and then say count word. I hope you can see that. For every item or for every character which is there, I want you to count that character. So for count word, you know what are the things I need to pass. I need to pass the character and the given string. So character here is item. The given string is whatever I got from the user. And let's close the bracket. I hope you see that this is what I asked. Okay, so for every character, I wanted to print the character, and then right next to that character, you would want what is the count, correct? So you would like, by the way, this will return an integer. Remember that. Okay, now only I'm telling what is the error. You can understand what would be the output. The output would be character plus op.count word will return an int. So character plus int is what I'm trying to do. You will not get your output what you're looking for, but I want you to understand why you're not getting. So let me just click on run. Okay, let me just try. Let's type some word. I hope you can see. Okay, now let me press enter. Look at the output. Okay, the output is 67100. Such a big number is given there, but I didn't make much mistakes. I just called the character and I concatenated this. As the slide goes, I said plus means concatenation. So when I concatenate that, you should be able to get every count of that particular word. But please realize what is happening in this particular code. When you call a character, please note it's not a string, it's a character, and you apply an addition operation with not a character, but rather an integer. When you add, please note I cannot use the word concatenate here. When this plus is here or in between a character and an integer, this cannot be called as concatenation operator. This will become an addition operator. So you're trying to add a character to a number. So what automatically the system will understand is you're going to convert the ASCII value of this particular word okay, the character which you give. For example, if you give a particular alphabet, I'll convert it into ASCII and then add it with whatever integer you get from here, and then I'll print the output. That's why you get such a big number there. So, and it's not like it's a number, it's one number. It is printed so many times. If I put right line, it will be a little bit more different. Just see the output here. You can see the output. Okay, so this is the problem. This is why we are getting an error. So how do I fix this? Okay, so let me just remove that right line and let me put it right. Only one thing is I need to make sure that the compiler understands that it is a character, or I'm trying to add strings together. So I want B to come as it is here, and then the count of how many times that B occurs in that particular word, and it goes on like this. That's all. Now let's run the program and check whether we have got what we require. So let me run. Now let's type the input what they have given as a demo. I think we have got the output. This is what they were expecting. Okay, so I've put B1, A3, N2, A3, N2 and A3. That's it. So you can get the idea of how this particular program works. Okay, but this program had one more word in its description saying that it should be case is ignored. Okay, so let me run the program once again and show you what is the problem with this. Okay, so let me open. I am typing BA, same word I'm typing, but the last two I'm putting it in capital letters. Okay, now I press enter. This is not the output what we are looking for, if you notice that there. Okay, it's saying B1, that is correct, but it is saying A2, but actually there is A3. And when I come here, here it says A is 1. Okay, which is wrong again because there are 3 A's there, but it is divided into 2 and 1 because of the case. All right, but they said case is ignored. So what should I do? Okay, so I can convert them into lowercase. All right, so where will I convert it into lowercase? All right, I don't want the output to change. I just want the count to be taken properly. Output, let it be capital letter N or capital letter A, doesn't matter, but the count should be same. So where should I change it? I will not touch this part. I'll go to the operations. All I will do here is when you loop through a particular character, I need to make sure that the character which you have given and the character with the string which has been given should both be in lowercase. Okay, so there are two ways to convert a character to its lowercase. One is using its ASCII values if you don't want to use inbuilt functions. But since this is not an interview, so I'm going to just change it into a simpler way. I am going to take that character which you have passed and I'm going to use an inbuilt method called char dot to lower. Okay, not to upper, to lower. If you're using to upper, convert everything to upper. Okay, so I'm just going to convert it into to lower. Okay, and to lower whatever character you have got from the user. This is an inbuilt function of character, not of a string. String is very simple. Right now, please note, you have got the character and you have converted into lowercase. And all right. I've taken the character what you the user has passed and used the inbuilt function of character to lower whatever character you have passed. So now whatever you pass will be converted to lowercase, and also for each character given in, so given also will be converted to lower. That's it. So now everything is lower when you're checking how many times that particular character is occurring. But when you're printing, you're not printing with the lowercase or uppercase. You're printing as the user has entered. But I'll find out whether it is working. Let's go and run it. This is all about the case. I'll just type BANA capital NA. All right. So the output we are looking for is B is 1 time, A is 3 times. Whether it is small letter A or capital letter A, it occurs 3 times in this particular statement. So this is what they are expecting, and that's what we have got as the output. I hope this program is clear. Okay, so with this, we'll stop this program. I hope this program is clear. Now, I'm going to do a small change to that operations.cs so that you understand why I said you cannot have more than one main method. In this class operation, I'm going to minimize this. I'm going to add one public static void main. I'll put string args, string array of args. Okay, and I'll just say console dot write line hello from operations. Okay, Now, I hope you follow what I've done. Okay, in the same project as our string demo. Okay, please note the Solution Explorer. I have one project called string demo. I have two C# files called program.cs and operation.cs. Both have main methods now. In program.cs, you have a main method. In operation.cs, you have a main method. Both of them are there in the same project. Please remember that. Okay, so static void main and also here static void main. You have two main methods. Now let me try to run the project. Please note it is not showing any file name here. It is showing the project name. So let me just click on the project name and see what happens. Okay, I want you to be very careful and listen to what this message says. Okay, the problem is most of the time when we work with .NET, this is something which you will see a lot of times in your Visual Studio IDE. Okay, I want you to be very clear of what this is and take 1 minute to read that message before you click on do not show this dialog and click on yes. Okay, please read that message. There were build errors. Okay, in other words, there are compilation errors. Would you like to continue and run the last successful build? I hope you get the message. Okay, if you don't understand it, I'll repeat it again. Okay, there were some errors in your program. Would you like to continue and run the last successful build? Okay, what is the last successful build? When you every time you compile, remember what we told in the first class of .NET. Every time you compile, a new exe file will be created. Okay, when a new exe file is created and then you change the code. All right, after creating the exe file, if you change the code, the exe will automatically not take it. You'll have to compile it once again, just like how any programming language would work. So now the message is saying there were errors. Would you like to continue the last successful build? When I say last successful build, where I wrote without the main method, right? So if I click on yes, the program will work successfully. No issues. It doesn't mean my code is right. I hope you follow. All right. There were some geniuses in our class or previous batches also who would click on that do not show this dialog again and click on yes. Okay, I hope you get the seriousness of this, because in that program, whatever program they work with, it will run properly. No errors will be shown in the program at all because you have given this and said do not show this dialog again. So what happens? It will never throw an error. Whenever you click on run, it will show the previous build only, whichever was successfully built. That is the same program which will be shown again and again, and people will think that we don't have errors. This is the reason. Okay, never click on that checkbox. Leave the checkbox alone. But right now, I'm going to just click on yes. Would you like to continue and run the last successful build? I'm not going to touch this. I'm just going to say yes. Okay, the program runs. It's asking me an input. I can give an input, and it's working. Okay, but what if there is an error, but whenever I run, it'll ask me the same question. Okay, there were errors. Would you like to continue? Now, I'm going to say no this time. Now, Visual Studio is telling you where is the problem. Okay, you can see, you can read that error. Program has more than one entry point defined. This is the error. Okay, it has more than one entry point. There should be only one entry point. And since I wrote two classes, both the classes have main method, it will not work. So more than one entry point defined, compile with /main to type that specify which type contains the entry point. You can specifically tell which is the entry point. Okay, so this is the problem, and you have every detail about that problem, and debugging is so easy in .NET because it will exactly tell you what is the issue most of the time. Okay, but then still sometimes we need our common sense to find out what that error means. Okay, so here I have two main methods. So what is the solution to fix this problem? You should remove that main method from one or the other method. Let me just remove it from program.cs, because most of them when they finish working, they'll think that program.cs is like a very important file and you cannot replace it. Nothing like that. You can replace it only if you put another class which has main method in it. Since I have operation has main method here, I'm going to program, and let me just remove this main method. I'll just comment it out for a minute. Okay, let me just comment it. Now all the code in class program has been commented. Now if I run the program, will that be an error? No. You can see that the main method is there from only one part, hello from operations. Operations is running because I removed the main method from the program class. Okay, that's it. So remember, you cannot have more than one main method in the same program. So let me just stop with this. Okay, and let me remove the main method here so that it becomes a little bit more easier. Okay, so the next program what we are going to see is the second program which I saw in your program list is this one. Write a program which removes all characters from the second string which is there in the first string. Okay, I think if we have time, we'll just try to finish this fast. Okay, you enter two strings. All I need to do is remove all the characters from the second character. Okay, for example, I take every word from the second character, C. I search it if it is there in the first string. If it is not there, I'll add it to the output. Then O, it is there, so ignore it. M, it is there, ignore it. P, it is there, ignore it. U, it is not there, add it. T, it is not there, add it. E, it is not there, added. So this is the logic which we are going to follow. Let's write this program also quickly. So for that, again, I'm not going to write in the main method. Let me write a separate method for this. Okay. Since I already have a method, let me add one more method. This is also an operation. What do you want? Okay. I want you to give me two strings and I'll return another string to you. Okay, remember the logic. I need you to take two strings. So let me take the return type will be a string because I'm going to redo another character and then send. Okay, string, remove, or let me just say remove words. Okay, please note I'm using the capitalization here. Remove words. I need to remove all the words from the first and the from the first, which is there in second. So I'm just going to give two strings here. Let me name it as first and second. Done. So now the error is because it's expecting a string. All right. So let me just create a method or a variable called result. And let me initialize it to blank and then return that result. Now there is no error. I can continue. So even if you call it, if my logic fails here, it will just return an empty string back. That's all. So let me just write it now. How do I go through this? Okay. The logic is very simple. You need to go through every character in the second string, and I need to check with each character which is there with every character in the first string. So basically, as you look at the word itself, you understand every character in second to be compared with every character in first, which means I need two for loops. Let me keep the simple for each loop here for our simplicity. For each character, let me put it as C2 so that you know that it is the characters from the second string. I'm going to write the word second. Okay, you need to go through every character which is there. Let me put CH2 character in the second string. And also I need to go through every character. For every character in the second string, you need to take it against or compare it against every other character in the first string. So I'm going to put again character CH1 in first. I hope this loop is clear. Okay, I'm not writing for I equal to or for j equal to. I'm just writing for two for each there. All right, so all I am going to do here is I need to go through every character. If I find that character, then I need to append. Sorry, if I don't find that character, I need to append it to the result. Otherwise, I'll just leave it as it is. So how do I do that? Okay. There are a lot of logics. I just use a simple logic here of putting a flag, a Boolean value, whether you found it or not, yes or no, isn't it? So I'll just put flag. Let me create a Boolean called flag. Okay, please note if I initialize a Boolean value, by default the value is false. So I need not specifically tell it, but let me specifically tell it after every loop. Okay. So what I'm going to do is inside this second for each, I'm going to compare if the second character, the ch2, which you have taken from the second string, is equal to ch1. This is the only logic you would like to find out. Whether the character 2 from the second string is there in the first string's characters. Alright, so if I find it, I need to do something. That's all. So all I'm going to do here is I'm going to make that flag to true if you find that character. Now, after you come out of each and every character in the first string, I'm going to keep a simple if condition. I'm going to say if flag is equal to false, which means if you did not find that character at all, what do you want me to do? If I didn't find it, I can simply say result plus equal to that particular character. So I'll just say ch2. Okay, now the error is coming because you have not assigned it. But every time the loop runs, you would like to reset it back. Okay, if at all you find that character, I would like you to reset it back to false. So as soon as this for each starts, I'm going to say flag is equal to false. Okay, I'll repeat it once again, don't worry. All right, so flag is equal to false. And now I'm going to return the result. That's it. This is the logic. Okay, but I want you to follow what happens. For every character in the second string, I'm going to go through a loop. So every time I take a new character, I'm going to convert the flag to false. And then I'm going to take, for example, let's take the example which we have given, C. I'm going to take C and then I'm going to check the entire word in the first string. Okay, so I'm going to go through, let's think that ch2 is C and ch1, which is first, is programming. So I'm going to take C and compare it with programming. I never found it. C was not equal to anything. So this condition will never be checked. Okay, so this, if the flag is not set to true, when you come out of this for each, the flag will still be false. If the flag is false, add that character to the result. What will be added now? C will be added. Done. Let's take the next character, computer, CO. Let's take O. I'll take O as a second character and then go through programming. PRO. The moment I reach O, I have seen that O is equal to O, which means second character and the first character matches. Then make the flag true. Okay, when I make the flag true, after I come out of the for each, this condition will not be satisfied because flag is equal to false. So I'll ignore that O and I'll continue again. When I continue again the flag is set to false. Again, now let's take M and then compare it with all the words in programming. Flag is if it is equal to, okay, I have got true because M is also there in programming. Result will not be concatenated and it goes on till it reaches there. Now you need not go through the entire thing. You can also say continue. Continue is to go to the next iteration. I hope you remember this, all these things. I'll just say continue. This is enough. That's it. So if you pass one word and the second word, I'll remove whatever characters are there in the whatever characters are available in the second, but it is not available in the first one. I'll remove that and give you a new string. That's all. So let me just go and check whether this program works. Let me go to the main method and let me comment out unnecessary words. I'll just create my own. Okay, so let me just stop these things as it is. Operations is required. So let me just call console.writeLine, enter first string. And I'm going to create a string called first is equal to console.readLine. Done. Let me do the same thing. I'll just copy paste it and change it to second string. And here the string would be second. Second is equal to. So I've got first and second characters from the user. Operations object is still ready for me to work here. So all I'm going to do here is console.writeLine. The result is, okay, so I'm going to say result is concatenate that with, please note I have put double quote. So which means whatever I concatenate now also will be considered as characters. So I'll call that operations method and then say remove words. I need to pass two parameters. One is the first string and the second one is the second string. That's it. Our work here is done. Let's run the program and check. Okay, it's asking the first string. Let me just type first string is programming and the second string is computer and the output is cute. Okay, because take C and check everything. C is not there, C is added. The remaining O, M, P, all these things are here. O, M and P are there in programming, so they are ignored. U is not there in programming, U is added. T is not there in programming, T is added. E is not there in programming, E is added. The result is Q. That's it. This is the output which they are expecting. So our logic is written in this operations.cs file. I hope you got it. So you can keep dividing your program as much as possible and then call them whenever you want so that they can be reused however you want. Okay, these are some of the string operations. I'll stop with this. If you have any questions, you can ask, or otherwise we can please wait till I take attendance and then you can disperse.